Hey everybody, Walt Rice here, and what I'm going to do in this video here is introduce you to something called the USDebtClock.org. And some of you have seen this. If you've watched the news, pay attention to the financial news and information. There's something that has changed on the debt clock. It's changed over the years. I know this might be a little bit small for you to see. One of the features here on the debt clock is the debt clock time machine, and if you click on, let's shrink this down here. If we click here in the upper right hand corner, well, first of all, I'd like you to point out here in the upper left hand corner we've got the national debt approaching $20 trillion. And one of the things that we've heard over the past couple of years, or the past 6 months leading up to the election from Donald Trump, is that we're dealing with a rigged system. In other videos I will go in more detail showing how the system is rigged, but this information here, if we go back here, you can see that in all these news clips they basically show you the total debt, but they really don't go into detail with the rest of the numbers. If they did, you would see that all the financial news that we get on TV is basically rigged information. If you delve into this, you'll see and understand why. Hovering over any one of these particular spinning numbers, and these numbers are spinning out of control. This area right here is money creation. But when you hover over any one of these figures, you can see at the top here, this changes. It tells you where the figures came from, where they were derived from. So you can do your own fact checking and make sure that this information is accurate. So we've got this main area here that goes into the national debt. It goes into where the revenue is being generated from, how much debt is owed per individual, how much money is being created, and then the unfunded liabilities. The United States government is able to keep a couple of sets of books. The books, in other words, $19 trillion or $20 trillion right now, is what they tell everybody is owed. But any other company, any other business, any other household would have to include future debt and obligations. And this is down here. Again, this is really small, but when you go to USDebtClock.org on your own, you'll see on the bottom the unfunded liabilities. This is the promises that the government makes to cover Medicaid, Social Security, which again is being paid into the future as 10,000 baby boomers retire or turn 65 every single day. Now, if I go to the debt clock time machine, we go back. Let's go back to 2000. Now you can see that this is a little bit smaller, and you can see in the right hand column it starts out here, U.S. population, U.S. workforce. So I'm going to go back to, I just want you to show, I want to basically point out how much information is on here or not on here compared to what we're dealing with now in 2017. They've added 3 more columns. And it's these 3 columns that I want to go into a little bit of detail about and how that relates to silver and gold. Okay, so we're going to scroll down here. And so as you can see, they've added these additional columns. And I'm going to blow this up here. This is what the columns are. It's the dollar supply added 2017 year to date. So in other words, they'll go back to, it's January right now, they'll go back to last January and how much money was created, how much paper money was basically the supply of currency that was created out of thin air. And down here we're looking at the dollar to silver ratio and the dollar to gold ratio, so which is basically the paper currency divided by physical gold and silver, or what any of us that have been educated, real money, or what the Constitution considers real money, gold and silver. So the point here is that for every ounce, and let me back up here. um, dollar. It also shows the dollar gold ratio starting from 1913, which gold was basically $28.76 per ounce, and that varies depending on how you calculate it. But between 28 to $30 per ounce. To right now, a ounce of gold is at $9,098 per ounce. The dollar to silver ratio is 1930 or 1913. An ounce of silver was $2.65. If you divide the amount of silver that's above ground silver by the money supply, an ounce of silver is $1,000. So psychologically, and I'll explain why this is done or how this is valid. If you have no reference to this, then you're gonna, that sounds like a crazy number. But you have to keep in mind that at several points in time in history, and U.S. history and world history, gold and silver always did an accounting for the paper supply in existence. And this is where the opportunity here lies, is that for every, let's use silver in this example, for every ounce of silver that you can purchase right now for about $20 per ounce, when you divide that to the money supply that's being created, that ounce of silver is really worth $1,000. Now, I can pretty much assure you that you're not going to find, the average person is not going to be able to find an asset that they're going to be able to afford to purchase, less than $30. That is actually, in reality, because we're living in a rigged world, that asset is actually worth $1,000, or 4,500% undervalued, of 4,500% potential increase once a reevaluation of the currency supply takes place. So keep in mind, there's basically excuse me. So keep in mind, there's basically two ways of calculating gold and silver prices. You can use the precious metals COMEX, which is the rig spot price, and we'll talk about how these numbers are manipulated and rigged. And the other way is to use the dollar gold silver ratio, which is an honest way to calculate the value and the price, which you'll find these numbers on the U.S. debt clock, which will help you make an easy calculation. So there's basically two ways of calculating gold and silver prices. You can use the COMEX, which is the precious metals ticker, which you see on most financial programs, which is a rigged spot price, and we'll go into detail on how that is rigged and manipulated. Or you can use the dollar to gold silver ratio, which you'll find on the U.S. debt clock.